And last but not least, let us go back into the world of Castlevania Nocturne, boy. So yes, we're finally going to talk about the second and possibly final season of Castlevania Nocturne, right? We'll get to possibly final in a little bit, right? But yeah, we covered the first season back in 2023. I believe it was. Yeah, we absolutely enjoyed that first season. And this was coming off what was essentially a great series in the form of Castlevania, right? Which was unfortunately cut short because the creator, the showrunner of the show, got involved in some on some insidious shit. Like he was being a little naughty, that's all we'll say, right? So he had to cut things short, right? But I felt like even despite all that, the show just ended spectacularly in my opinion, right? But it left the room, it left the world of Castlevania open to more spin-offs and whatnot, right? So I was actually happy that we got Nocturne, right? Okay, we're gonna see what happens next, right? And before we get, Ricardo, I want you to do the synopsis for this, right? So what this show really does well, right? It actually goes, like, I would say centuries later after, what we saw in the first Castlevania series, right? And we center on the French Revolution, but this is more of an altered history of it. So, but it involves vampires and night creatures, and you see how they are involved in this, right? We are introduced to this big, vampire body by the name of Elizabeth, and she is pretty much the instrument of who I gotta call the main body of Nocturne, Drolta, right? Yeah, I just call she Nocturne Major, because yes, even though she is this medicine, vampire, I don't know, she fine AF though by creepy vampire standards, right?
But they lean into the dung badness of the for the fan base. They're real fan base. She up this wrong.
Oh boy, yeah, especially with the transformation she has it as well. Like, all right, yeah, she's still a body, right? So yeah, so you have all this going on, right? But we have our heroes. We have Richter Belmont. Yes, so he is a descendant of the protagonist from Castlevania as well. And because of what we saw in that series, yes, he acquired magical powers, or speaker powers, if you will, right? So yes, he could channel ice powers through his whip, and pretty much ice and fire, but more of a blue fire. That's really what he does, right? So it works, right? We have Maria, who is this really impassioned revolutionary. I know she's just all about just bringing down the establishment, and she hates the church because she feels like it's all part of just the corruption and going on in France and all that kind of stuff. And it gets even worse because of two reasons. One, because the abbot now of this area, where the story takes place in season 1, is creating night creatures for Esbeth.
Right.
Then also too, we learned that the abbot is actually Maria's father.
Right.
Yeah, that was messed up, right? Yeah. But then we're also introduced to Annette, who is this Dominican she has magical
Haitian. Semi-Haitian.
Yes.
They imply heat.
Yeah, can they say Saint Dominique? But
Sandoma. Well, that's the island, the whole island.
Oh, right. Derp. Yeah. Right. So she also has powers as well, but she more taps into, let me just say, the spirit realm, but it's more in terms of like Yoruba worship and Orisha worship and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
But she is there because she's trying to take down one of the vampires that Elizabeth was working for, who pretty much killed her parents, right? But then there's a friend of hers by the name of Edward, who is this black opera singer. Unfortunately, in France, he becomes this night creature as well, and he goes through this existential crisis in this, and to a lesser extent in this season here, where he's a monster, but he loves singing, and ever so often he will break out into song, right? And also, mad points. I would love to think that the guy who they cast to do the voice for Edward also sings his songs here, boy. But that dude could sing though. That man could hit falsettos by God. Damn, right? But anyway, it's really about our heroes teaming up to stop Esbeth, right? But Esbeth have this big plan because she big vampire apocalypse stuff and all that kind of stuff. But it all ends now where a surprise shows up in the form of Alucard, right? Who was, the big antagonist turned anti-hero in, Castlevania. Yeah, he shows up now and, get to kick a ass, right? And in this season, boy, holy shit, boy, he kicks so much ass in this, right? We talk about kick-ass fight sequences a little bit, right? And yeah, this is where season 2 pretty much kicks off, right? Where, Elsbeth, show is at the height of her powers with Drolta at her side. I forgot to mention too that that Maria's mom turned into a vampire as well because she kind of sacrificed her life because the abbot was going to sacrifice Maria, but the mother's like, no, take me, and basically Elsbeth bite her, so she becomes a vampire now, and she's also a speaker. You see how that plays out, and yeah, we just see what is essentially the second half of this saga involving the defeat of Elsbeth and Drolta, right? But yeah, this was one of my favorite shows of 2021. I actually recapped it. Sorry, 2023. I recapped it in preparation for this. It's a good thing I did, right? Because there was some certain plot points that I did forget, right? But one criticism that I have with the first season, right, and I'll tell you how this show improves in it, right? There were a few points where I felt like the animation just didn't work though. It felt like almost like they sort of rush certain shots, so they just came off a little amateurish at best. That's the best way I could sum it up. And that's me. I'm not knocking Powerhouse Animation, right? I think they do great work. I like how they kind of do the anime-esque style, like that's their bag. I think it works very well when it comes to action sequences, right? But yeah, there was some moments where I was like, nah, this look kind of off though. Like, why the character looking so, moving so, stilted so? That was weird, right? But it's so weird that I noticed this when I recapped this first season though, right? Because even though I still enjoy the first season, I think it's great, I just felt that there was some points animation-wise where they just could have improved it. Like, I don't know if it's a budget thing or a time thing, I don't know, but it just felt kind of rushed in my opinion. That's the animation style. Not as polished as we got here, right? But as just the gripe of that. But I still enjoy the show nonetheless as it carries across from the thematic vibe of Castlevania, especially the existential nature of things, the ideas, just about life and religion and how it feels to be a vampire, or fighting on the side of right or wrong, and how you see the world, right? And it pretty much brings that, it pretty much kind of copies and pastes that into this show here. And I love how they did that, right? And then of course just giving us some sweet kick-ass action sequences, and vampire thrills, man. I mean, that's all we want from this show, right? But yeah, before you get into what season 2 is about, right? Any quick thoughts on season 1?
Yeah, love season 1. Big fan of that one. They make it work. You're pretty much covered what I would say. I mean, it's just they evolve it in smart ways. A lot of the African stuff and Caribbean stuff you appreciate, and yeah, they make it work in terms of like connecting this to the French Revolution, and then in this season, they evolve it to the American Revolution, and all of that geopolitical alternate history stuff that really works well, or at least you should say contextual history. I like how they put it in actual history and then say, all right, this is stuff happening behind the scenes kind of stuff. Yeah, they make it work. I really like this season. Last season really well.
So yeah, Ricardo, if you don't mind, what was season 2 about?
Right, so season 2 to pick up from season 1, where, as I said, this one focuses. They go into the background of the American Revolution, I think this time. So you go from France to America, and because the French Revolution, the American Revolution tied together, and then in also in context of the Haitian Revolution. But what they do with this one is that, Drolta is really the one up to no good, and what she wants to do is tap into the power of, effectively, I forget the goddess's name, but I think it's an Orisha goddess. They frame it as an Egyptian goddess.
Sekhmet, yeah.
Sekhmet, right?
Yeah. At first we hear it's Egyptian, but because of Annette's ancestry, we learn that it is part of her culture too. Yeah.
Right. And they tie it to that, and that's kind of the grand scheme of involving Annette connected to Drolta, and then the love of Belmont to her. And I forget the guy's name, but the older Belmont comes into this narrative as well.
That would be the grandfather. I'm forgetting his name right now. Yeah.
He was in the last season. I can't remember.
He was. He showed up in the second half. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. But yeah. It's that, and they focus on that, and we get basically Ichigo bleach moment at the end involving a sword, and they focus on Drolta a lot, but like the both sides of the argument about worshiping the god and the relationship to that, and the relation of power and whatnot, and that is it's contextualized with the American Revolution, not as deeply as last season with the French Revolution, but like just enough illustration for you to get the context and why it works.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's solid stuff. But then we have a nice journey with Annette and her having to go into the spirit realm to sort that out, and her connection to Richter. And that stuff was good too. And but I just thought this was really well made. Your girl from Woman King was in this.
She Tuso, I think. Oh, yeah, that's a. I think that's how you pronounce her name. Yeah, she plays Annette. Yeah.
Right. Of course, they bring back Alucard as usual, badass, and yeah. But the idea of Richard using Alucard's sword was pretty good.
Oh yes, it was. That is a highlight. That is a highlight. Yes.
As it is, it's a real Bleach moment, right? It's straight up Ichigo.
Oh, by the way, speaking of Bleach, I had to see this, right? Them last 2 episodes, I was watching this. I was like, "How's Powerhouse watch 1,000 Year Blood Water?" I feel so much because because it's just basically a 2-part fight sequence. I was watching like, dog, I seen Bleach in this though, like just the movements and the powers, boy. That's how they use the powers. Very Bleach inspired, boy. I was loving it. Yeah.
Right, and that's it's just the ultimate arc involving Richter and Annette is the core of this, and it works. It's solid stuff, and yeah, this might be one of the best of the year for me.
Same here, boy. I loved this season.
Yeah, I just dug this again as usual. Drolta hold it together. She just hired down bad, but she also a legit good villain.
Yeah.
And they give you, well, if you know we got nice Trunks Freezer reference, if you know. But they just give us just good action, a good story, good contextualization. Not as, I would say, as much of a surprise because I know what to expect. The first season was a surprise given how much like African and history and mythology they put into that. So this time they do a good job with it. But then the ending is great, involving what was the character's name by Ocean?
I think that's the character's name. I know you're talking about, right? Yeah, this
right.
Oh gosh, not Mason.
Like a Eldon kind of guy.
Yeah.
Out at the end.
I love his design. That's all I say, especially with the head garb he have. That was great.
Yeah. And it's all of that. All of these things come together, and it's like, oh, this is like really solid stuff. But like, it's good contemplative like aspects of it. Of right, it is how to think about this, how to think about like the afterlife and how the mythologies of this stuff works. And it just comes together really well. And I thought this was generally excellent.
Yeah, agreed too. I absolutely enjoyed the season here, right? I just love how it just took everything that was established in the first one and just expanded it, right? And that's what we always want from a sequel or a second season, right? I had to touch. I'm not even gonna save this for last, boy, but the action sequences, boy, I felt like they just stepped things up a lot, boy. Dude, the first episode, right? Alucard just kicked so much asses, right? Just so much, boy. I just did like, I just love how stylized it is. And one thing is same thing that was carried across actually from Castlevania as well too, right? With the couple of knocks I give Powerhouse Animation for the little animation glitches in the first season, right? I felt like they improved on those, right? Because I wasn't like watching it fervently, like, oh, I was looking to see where they skim out on. Nah, I felt like they just made sure everything looked smooth. Like, I don't know, like maybe they just had more time, maybe they just get more money or something like that. But I feel like everything just looks so smooth, right? But when it comes to the action sequences, right, I just always love how loose they are, right? Just right down to the character movements and all that kind of stuff. It's very, I don't know how to describe it. Like, the first time ever I noticed this kind of style is through Naruto Shippuden, right? Where they'll kind of exaggerate a movement, or they'll just kind of shorten down a frame here or there. Like, it would look kind of like hyper stylized, right? While in the world of the characters, right? And I got that here, right? But dude, these action sequences just went so hard though. I like, just similar to Bleach, right? It's not just powers thrown in fit. It's like, you know, a skill set that a character has, and they'll just amplify it and heighten it, or just do something that you wouldn't think about, right? And they just do it just throughout this fight, though. Just the choreography. That's the best we can sum it up. The choreography for, I would say, each and every fight of this was great, though. But just them last 2 episodes, boy, my God, like just those last 2 episodes, if they had run this in some Comic-Con or whatever it is, boy, the audience would have been going nuts, right? Just off the moves, off the powers, off the kills, boy. Yeah, there's some sweet kills in this, right? But it absolutely works, right? And it's not just done for the sake of doing it, right? Especially them last 2 episodes, boy. There's a thrill to it, though, and you hear it in the music too, right? Yeah, like we're going to vanquish this evil, right? And that's what did really catch you by surprise, right? Is that throughout the show, actually from the very beginning, right? There's always like, and it carried across from Castlevania, right? There's always this view on religion, right? Which, you know, given the context of the show, I understand, right? Where it's like, you know, you call yourself religious, but look at what you're doing, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, you can understand why somebody like Maria will like look down on the church. Like she looks down on it, right? But then there's a moment where she get kind of calls out, when she gets called out for it, right? Because slight spoiler, she goes after the abbot, right? And that doesn't play out well at all, right? And then she looks bad, right? You know, all this talk about, you know, immortality and life and religion, all that kind of stuff, right? I love how it's contextualized later on, right? Where you know, where Sekhmet is introduced into the story as well, right? And she's talking about, oh, you know, look at these humans and how they've been perverting our ways and our beliefs and what we are about and all that kind of thing. I like that. So you actually have a God speaking, right? But then that makes the relationship between Drolta and Elizabeth work even well, right? Because I like that how they set it up, how it's revealed, right, is that Elizabeth is not a god or goddess per se, though. But throughout the first season, you keep hearing, oh, she's a goddess and, you know, vampire messiah and all that kind of stuff. And this is like, no, she was made. Ironically enough, she was made. That was a great reveal, right? I love that it comes from Drolta. That's all you'll say without spoiling much, right? And even how Drolta becomes who she is. That works as well, too. Yeah, how she becomes a vampire. I thought that was great, right? Just the idea of, oh, you think you so powerful because you made yourself powerful, but that doesn't mean you're powerful, right? You know, you have this powerful being, this entity coming and saying, yeah, both all your shit, right? So I love that. I love that, right? Just kind of taking the teams that were established in the first season and just expanded them in very creative ways, right? The voice acting from just like before is stellar, just great across the board. Everybody kill it. I think it's James Callis. I think that's the actor's name. Right. I think he plays Alucard. Yeah, he is great. You know, he's just that.
From Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that's where he. Okay, I didn't know he's from there. All right, yeah.
Guy Spalter.
Yeah, he's on that Lestat Louis Interview with the Vampire kind of shit. Like, you know, I've been alive for all these centuries, man. Like, you know, you learn a lot about life, man. You know, like almost like nothing phases him because he just seen so much and experienced so much in his life. So I like that about the character. But I like that when it's time to throw down, but that dude throws down, but like what he does with that sword, especially how he makes it move on its own, boy. Wow, right? I'd say like everybody get a chance to kick ass, so even Maria and all too. But she, what was interesting about her is that she get to tap into her dark side. I like how that comes through with, you know, with her channeling these creatures from these portals or whatnot, right? If it is how one gripe, I felt like she was there doing the big throwdown in the end, right? But she was kind of sidelined, and I understand why, but it's like I felt like she should have been there in the final moments, though, because the final moments she just wasn't there, right? Which was, you know, a little bit of a letdown, but I understand why, right? Annette get to kick ass. Of course, Richter with that whip and the powers and all that kind of stuff, kick so much ass. I love the character development in this as well too, right? Whether it's Richter who, you know, try to stray away from this show-offy vibe that the Belmonts always try to show off, you know, always try to give off, right? I like that he's actually vulnerable here, right? And I like that they set up Annette as his love interest, which they actually set up in the first season, but they didn't do much with it. They just kind of alluded to it at first, that they kind of set it up, but this one you really see more of it, right? You really see him stand a really connect with, really care more for Annette, and it really works, right? I even like how open Annette is to him as well, right? And I think that, their chemistry really works here, right? Edward's, character development works as well too, right? I like that he's not playing the victim card all the time. I'm a night creature. Oh, I'm sad, but he starts to see the world a little bit differently as well, and he even strikes back in various ways. I like that as well too. Slight spoiler: there's a moment where soldiers are about to do battle, and dude just up and decides to sing out the blue. And a part of me was like, dude, nobody asks you to sing, Jen. Why you singing, bro? Like, why you singing? But this dumb joke, right? But it just sets the mood of that scene so well, right? And you understand why he's singing. And it has to do with a song involving slavery from his home. But it works. It thematically, it totally works, right? Maria's backstory was, well, just the character development was great. Just everybody, even right down to the villains. Drolta, I love the backstories that we get. We see why she is the way she is, how she become a vampire, why she's so down bad with Elizabeth. It makes sense, and even how and why Elizabeth is the way she is, right? And how ultimately she is a false messiah. That's all I'll say without spoiling anything, right? And yeah, just the payoff and how everything sort of played out was great too. I thought that just how everything ended, just that final fight and all that was just spectacular. It just elevate everything in my opinion, right? Now, lastly, before I get to read it, right? The last few moments of the show suggests that this might be the end of Nocturne, but there's a particular moment where they just sort of say, but I feel that I'll say why I feel they do it this way, right? I feel it's because they didn't really make it official, at least from what I read, that this was the end. Because for all we know, Netflix could come and say, look, here's some money, make a next season.
Right.
Now, I don't know if out of that we'll get a third season, or if we will just get another show, another series in the world of Castlevania. I don't know. Maybe it might relate to one or two of our heroes that survive. That's all I'll say. I don't know. I guess we'll see, right? But even if we don't get a third season, I think that where this season, this show stopped off, I think is great. Like, right now, I could live with this being the end, right? It's short, like, just overall, right? 2 seasons, short, to the point, 16 episodes, boom, bam, get out of the way, you move on, right? And if we get more shows out of Castlevania, great, right? But if we get a third season, well, they had to justify it outside of that reveal or that moment near the end. That's all I'll say, right? But yeah, at the end of the day, this was just a great season. I felt like it improved on the little technical and narrative little missteps in the first season here. I really thought they just sharpened things up, whether it's the story or especially the animation. I felt like the animation really stepped up here, right? Just considerably, not a lot, right? But just compared to the little glitches here or there, I felt like they really smooth things out here, right? Storytelling is great, dialogue is great, the conversations they have, this is one thing I always loved about Castlevania, right? Conversations work, right? They're not padding, they're not there to just bore you into that. They really add a lot to the characters, and their worldview in particular is always about the worldview, how they see the world, how they see religion, how they see the church, how they see the revolution, how they see everything, right? And it adds a lot to the characters and the motivations, right? But yeah, great season. Again, I don't know if this is the end of the show, but if this is the end, well, yeah, they just end things off spectacularly, in my opinion, right? So, at the moment, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you'll get more out of this, but if we do, okay, great. But yeah, this season was great. I'm going high with this. Like 4.5 out of 5, man. This at the year now start, right? So yeah, this is one of the best seasons of TV that I've gotten this year, and it's from what is easily one of the best animated shows I've seen in a while, right? And this is actually like a sequel to another great series in the form of the original Castlevania series, right? So yeah, season 3 or another Castlevania spin-off, bring it on. I'm ready. So Ricardo, fire, what's rated?
Yeah, they evolve on the first season as good as they can, and they carry the characters in a good space. Again, what they do with Drolta is excellent stuff, and I can't be mad at any of that. I thoroughly enjoyed this. It didn't feel like a waste of my time or anything like that. I expected it to be good. It was good, and it palate cleansed the nonsense that was Star Trek Section 31, right? So happy for that. Yeah, rating. Yeah, like a really high score because it improves from season 1. 9 out of 10. I dug the hell out of this. Really well done.